Welcome back to another amazing episode of Digital Health Podcast. My name is Fizar Shahid, and I am the co-host of Digital Health Podcast. My another co-host Anthony Virgo is unable to join us today, so I'm gonna proceed with this episode. Let me introduce myself to the audience who are the brand new to our channel. So I have been working in the healthcare domain for quite a while. I started with the dental practices, then we collaborated together. I collaborated with Anthony Virgo, and now we are working with physiotherapists, we are working with cardiologists, we are working with dentists. So this is the brief introduction about me and about us as well. So now I'm gonna kick it over to our amazing guest today.
Hi, thank you so much, Hazard. I'm Andrea Dindinger, and I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist based in San Francisco. And I've been in practice for over 20 years, and I really help couples navigate conflict and get out of those looping patterns that every couple gets into. I'm super passionate about the work, and I'm
Wow,
happy to be
amazing.
here. Thank you.
Amazing. Sounds good. So the first question that I have for you is uh, that we usually ask to every guest on our podcast that how you came into the to the healthcare domain. Like, uh, were you passionate about it, or was it just the accident that you came into the healthcare domain? So how does?
It's a complex issue or question. I think I was born a therapist. I remember sitting down with my grandparents at like 7 years old and asking them why they slept in separate bedrooms. I didn't understand that. So I was precocious in that way. And then my parents got divorced when I was in middle school, and then I got married the first time at 25 and got divorced like 6 years later, which both my parents' divorce and my own divorce really just were really, really painful for me and really, kind of broke something in me. And as I was um, in a state of recovering from my divorce or trying to figure out what I was going to do with my life after the divorce, I was at a silent meditation retreat, and it was literally felt like a transmission from God or whoever. But it was like, go back to grad school or go back to school, go to grad school and become a therapist. And I did it, and it's been my life's passion ever since. And it's been the most amazing career I could have ever dreamed of having.
So it means you are the therapist since your childhood. Okay, okay. So actually, just before meeting you, I have heard of physiotherapist, and when anyone hear about the physiotherapist, then the first thing that came to our mind is moving the body parts, moving like moving your shoulder, your head, your legs, and all other body parts. So I wanna learn more about that how the psychotherapist works. Like, what are the like specific problems that they solve? Like just before this podcast, I just had the podcast with a respiratory physiotherapist, and I was asking her. I have heard of physiotherapist, but I haven't heard of respiratory physiotherapist. So how you work? I was asking her this question. So I have the same question for you that I haven't heard of, to be honest, about the psychotherapist. So how you guys work? So I'm gonna I'm gonna learn more about you.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And I think it's really special too on some level that you've never really heard of what a psychotherapist does. So this is a great opportunity. So people reach out to me, and I'm a doctor of the heart and the mind, and the body. So people who are come to me when they've had issues in their marriage, issues for themselves, like not maybe being able to find a partner. It's a very kind of more Western idea, I guess, but it's around really discussing childhood trauma, issues, communication issues. If you're a parent and you're having parenting troubles, but it's somebody there who um, I would say it's like really a doctor of the heart and mind. It's helping you examine your unconscious patterns and choosing to do things differently. So I deal with depression, anxiety, addiction, things that are keeping people kind of stuck in their lives and not moving forward in a way that allows them freedom and that like awareness and that feeling of being alive and awake to their life and their family and their friends.
Hmm. And what is the difference between psychologist and psychotherapist? Like, psychologist also knows how to heal you mentally, and I have,
Hmm.
like, after hearing you, after listening to you, you also said that we usually help people having stress in their relationships, in their
Hmm.
in their mind. So what is the difference, basic difference between psychologist and psychotherapist?
The only difference is a psychotherapist has a master's degree and a psychologist has a PsyD. So it's just a couple more years of school. Um, but we basically do the same exact thing.
Okay. Okay, sounds good. So,
Yeah,
and I want
maybe
to learn.
maybe a distinction would say like somebody who's a psychologist might work with people who have schizophrenia or kind of more complex emotional um, disorders and psychological disorders, and I probably deal with less complex um, psychological disorders and more just this everyday life that's so stressful, and helping people communicate and live their life in a better, healthier way. And I
Perfect.
don't prescribe medication.
Oh, so how do you treat your clients or patients? Like, using sessions, or how does it work? Like,
Yes. Yes. I have a couple different ways. Like I work one on one with individuals and couples. I also send out a weekly newsletter via email or Substack that has tips and tools and ideas to try on in your relationship, different kind of homework suggestions so you can connect with your partner or your family or friends in a bigger way. I also have a couple of online courses. So if you can't afford to work with me, you can you can do one of these online courses that are really there's like real quality and it really helps you start some of those conversations that are tricky to have. I've got a bunch of free resources on my website that you can do like a annual relationship review and sit down with your partner and go through the last year and say like, what did we do right? What did we do wrong? Where can we improve? Where do we want to go? How can we thrive? So it's there's a lot of different ways that I work.
oh, perfect. And how your business, your practice works? Like, are you practicing on site, or do you give counseling sessions online? Like, how do you work?
I do all of it. I do in person in my office here. I do a lot of online. The majority of my work is over the screen. And then I also do, for people who are in my neighborhood, we do walking sessions. And so we just have a path that we walk and talk. And it's actually one of the most profound things that has come out of COVID for my practice.
Yeah. Okay. And as you mentioned about the COVID, so just a question popped up in my mind. What I have in my mind, that in the COVID era, in the COVID years, when all of us were in our homes, so what was the trend during the COVID times, during the COVID years, and what is the trend right now? By trend, I mean uh, divorce trend in the relationships of the couples, or and I mean
Hmm.
generally trend between the couples.
Yeah. I mean, during COVID, before COVID, I would see probably around 24 people a week. And then during COVID, my practice just exploded to 35 people a week and I couldn't see anymore. I was like, I can't help any more people, which is why I created my weekly newsletter, because I have so many tools and so much information. I thought, like, I need to get this out to people who I can't see. I need to help people who, may never have the resources or the time, or I won't have the time to meet with me. And so that's where the newsletter came from. The COVID was tricky. It was hard for everyone. There wasn't anyone who was spared the difficulties. Um, I think a lot of people during COVID um, were drinking way too much alcohol and watching way too much Netflix and screens, and just really starting to really, really hate each other. The number of divorces that came out of COVID were astronomical. People hadn't spent that kind of time one on one together, living in the space together in that way. Skyrocketing levels of depression, anxiety, which then also makes the relationship really challenged. So it feels like maybe the first year of COVID, things just were like bad. And then the next couple years, that's when divorces kind of skyrocketed. And what's kind of interesting in terms of trends, what I'm noticing is, we wanted to talk a little bit about AI, but, during COVID, my practice ballooned gigantically. And then now, with so many people using AI to, to talk to ask questions of, I've seen that my practice has naturally kind of gone down to like the 24 kind of people a week level, which is a much healthier level for me. But it's interesting to see the shift, or people are coming maybe less. Instead of coming every week, they're coming every other week or every third week. And so it's that's also really interesting to witness.
Hmm. Okay. And how people reach out to you? Like, they connect with you on LinkedIn, or like, what are the mediums that you usually use, and what are the mediums that people use to reach out to you? Using email, LinkedIn, Facebook, or how does it work?
Yeah, it's the easiest way is go to my website at andreadindinger.com or therapywithandrea.love, Love. Either of those ways, you'll get to my website. There's a work with me link. There's my courses, my blog posts, other podcasts I've been on. So it's a really comprehensive place to reach out to me. But you can reach out to me via LinkedIn, through Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. There's just or email, but all of those places you can reach out to me and ask me questions, apply to work with me.
Okay, sounds good. Let's just shift our conversation towards the technology, because
Yeah.
this is one of the most important part of the podcast that I personally like as well, because I love to talk to people about the technology, what they think about technology, and specifically about the AI. Just as you mentioned that after the AI, the number of sessions people usually take with you have decreased. Why is it so? Like, have people started talking to the AI as their therapist, or what's going on, what you have observed?
I think there's two factors. I think one factor is AI is making people financially anxious. The war in Iraq is making people financially anxious. And so that financial anxiety is, I think, slowing people down from getting that kind of emotional support. So I think that's one piece that's contributing. The other piece is, reach out to Claude, your best friend, and say, hey, Claude, my wife just yelled at me about leaving a coffee cup in the sink. And I don't know what to say to her, but, I don't like her right now. Right. And then I don't know what Claude would say if I asked that, but Claude would say something like, oh, I'm sorry. She yelled at you. That sucks, which honestly is such a sweet thing to hear, because it does suck to have someone yell at you. Then Claude might say, you should go to her and apologize for leaving your coffee cup in the dishwasher. Or so Claude can give you some real kind of tangible tools in that way. And I think that is fantastic because it's kind of a great equalizer in some ways, right? Everybody has access, which is kind of what the internet did, right? It created so much more information that everybody had access to. It's not just people who had a library card or who could go to college or to school. If you had a computer and internet access, you could reach, you could study biochemistry, you could, whatever. And it feels like that is what Claude is also, or ChatGPT or any of the other AIs is helping, um, is giving people. And I'm all for it. I, however, find the issue is that when we when we are hurt in our relationships, when our parents abused us, or our partners cheated on us, or we've lost somebody for some reason, right? All of those happen to us in relationship. All of those damages, all of those hurts happened in relationship. And Claude can help, can talk you through your grief, can talk you through your abuse, but the healing is only going to occur with another person who can feel with you, who can think with you, and can be in that dynamic relationship to do it differently. And so a lot of times I'll say to my couples, or my individuals, if there's something that happens regularly, if your father abandoned you at a young age and you were left on your own, what could happen in our therapy is I could forget a session, not intentionally, but accidentally, and you could have this deep feeling of abandonment. Even though it was an accident and we reach out and we are able to, you'll still have this deep feeling of abandonment. And where the secret medicine and sauce comes forward is for that patient to say to me, I felt really abandoned when you didn't show up for our session. They could never have said that to the father that left them, but they say that to me, and they are able to both vocalize and articulate what that experience was like, and then have somebody who cares about them, loves them deeply, who's able to both take accountability for the hurt that I caused unintentionally, and then repair this hurt. And it creates a different neural pathway in people's brains, and that's where people start living healthier, fuller, more connected lives.
Sounds good. Perfect. Very well said. So, what? Okay, tell me one thing. Are you for the AI or are you against the AI?
That's such a crazy question. I mean, I don't think it matters whether I'm for it or against it because it's here. So, a lot of what I teach my people in session is when we resist something, it only makes it worse. So, if I'm resisting AI, I'm just making my suffering and pain worse. If I accept this technology is here, it's gonna change our lives. It's already changing our lives. So if I can show up and be in relationship to it in the best ways possible, I'm gonna make my life easier.
Exactly, exactly. And what do you think? Can Claude or Chat GPT be a good psychotherapist? What do you think? Like, if I talk
I
to my Claude, no, like if I talk to my Claude and I say that I'm facing tense situation in my relationship and or stuff like this. So, what do you think? Can it be a good therapist for me?
I don't think so. I think what it can do is it can source all of these different experts and give you this regurgitated, really great response. But where it falters is there's not a human there behind it. Um,
Exactly.
and I think
Exactly.
that's the problem. And then I think, we've seen, people who have been told, yeah, you should kill yourself. And I don't necessarily think that that's AI's fault. Um, I think there is some responsibility there. I think the person asking that question, should I kill myself? They should actually be talking to a human. They should be talking to a person, whether it's a suicide helpline or their friends or their parents. Or um, I do believe technology has some responsibilities around that, but I think it's a great tool in terms of getting some support, but I don't think it's going to heal those those challenges in a real
Exactly.
way.
Exactly. Like AI or ChatGPT or Claude or whatever it is, it can be a helping hand for you, but it cannot be a end-to-end therapist for you. You are a human being, you are a social animal, so at the end, ultimately you need a human being. You need to talk to a human being who can feel, who can feel you, who can understand your emotions, who can understand what you have in your mind, who can understand what you are trying to say or what you are trying to convey to him. So yeah, ultimately AI can be a helper for you, AI can be anything for you, but AI cannot be a full, or you can say end-to-end therapist for you. Exactly.
Yeah.
Very well said. and
Yeah.
so how you are integrating AI into your practice, or how you are integrating AI into your daily life? Like, what are the tools, or how, in fact, how do you use AI to improve your patient experience?
So in my specific work with my patients, I have not utilized AI. The the note taking, the software I use, they offer free note taking, and they'll transcribe the whole session. I'm not interested in that tool. Yeah, it would make my life faster and easier, but the way my mind and heart work in terms of memory, if I don't write down my notes and actually put them into the file, I don't remember them in the same way. You could have told me something, Hazad, like from 10 years ago, like something small, and I will remember it so crystal clear because of the relationship we have built. If I do that, have AI take my notes, that I'll lose that ability. It just, my mind will start shrinking in terms of my memory, my working memory. So I'm super not interested in doing that. Um, I use Cloud all the time to help me make our weekly menu for my family, or I use it to um, help me like with my taxes at the end of the year, look at all my expenses, put them into categories for my work. I use it to help me think about different social media posts that I'm going to create. So I've used it in that way. But in my one-to-one relationship, I've had people say, can I record our session so that I can put it into AI and utilize it that way? And I just say no. That's not something I'm interested in. I did have somebody reach out to me. I think it was last week, who said he's developing an AI tool for couples therapists who listen in on the session and then give you a recap afterwards of ways that you've missed connecting to the couple, interventions you could have made. And it sounds really interesting, but it also felt really like I felt just a little bit anxious about it. And
Hmm.
with therapy, right, the number one important piece around it is privacy. Like, this is a private conversation between you and me. There's some exceptions to that, self-harm, harm to another person. Otherwise, it is like between the two of us. So if there's this machine that's in here listening to what you're saying with me, it no longer is private. And that, to me, that doesn't feel safe.
Exactly, exactly. So, yeah, ultimately, AI can be a helper for you, but AI cannot be a replacement for any of the work, for any of the tasks that is best done by any human being. So yeah,
Yeah.
we should use, in fact, we should use AI as a helper, but not as a replacement for any of the tasks that should be best done by human being. Amazing, well
Yeah.
said. So I have another question for you. What is tell us about your best patient experience so far? Like, you have done a
Oh.
lot of consultations, in fact, couple consultations, couple sessions, therapy sessions with the couples who are facing tense situation in their relationship. So tell us about one best patient experience that you have that you have experienced.
Oh. I mean, I've been doing this for 22 years, and like, I've had couples who come in and the husband's cheated on the wife and they want to stay married, and I've helped them, this one particular couple, for the husband to really take accountability and ownership of what he did. Helped him really examine like what was going on for him that he reacted in that way, and authentically apologize to his wife and be kind of open to all of her questions, and then helping her to feel confident to ask all the questions she needed to have answered, to recognize that she isn't crazy. She had some feeling, some intuition that something was going on, and for her to be able to reconnect with him and reconnect in that place of trust when it was so destroyed was, I would say that was one of my favorite. All of them, though, I love all of them. They're just, I really see how hard they're working to try and get their needs met. And and it's hard. It's hard being in relationship with each other when we have so many external stresses and so many ways of distracting us from being present with each other.
Very well said. So I have a last question for you. What is your message to all the couples who are facing some tense situation in their relationships, or who wanna stay married, who wanna stay in the relationship, but they are at some, you can say, worst point of their relationships? What's your message to those couples?
I guess my main message would be to say, like, if you want to stay married, you got to really put in the work of showing up, and showing up with vulnerability and curiosity and non defensiveness. And like, if your spouse yells at you about leaving the cup in the kitchen sink, really being curious about, what it was about that coffee cup that hurt them. But also understanding why you would put the coffee cup in the sink, and not know like, oh yeah, they hate it when I leave the coffee cup there. But I think the message is that relationships take work, they take a lot of consciousness, and they take a lot of attention, and it's like anything that needs nutrients. A plant, you need to water it, you need to feed it. And that's the same thing as a marriage. And so when you haven't done that, you've been on autopilot and you're just kind of taking each other for granted, and you recognize that you're just moving further apart, that's a time to turn to your spouse and say, hey, I love you. I miss you. Um, I'd like to get reconnected. And, it's so interesting. I have a free 21-day relationship reset experiment on my website. It's totally free. It's 21 days. And it's like these little tiny, really tiny little tools and tips that you have to do every single day for 21 days. It is so profound in terms of the transformation. It's like opens your heart, helps you engage in some of these harder conversations and create that emotional safety that has been damaged. So I really suggest people checking that out. It's a great, great, great tool, and it's free.
Perfect, perfect. Sounds good. So, also tell our audience what are the best platforms, or what are the best ways for them to reach out to you, if they have any question for you, or if they are facing, or if they are also facing some tense situation in the relationship. So, what are the best means to reach out to you?
The probably the easiest way is therapy with Andrea dot love Love. Or you could go to andreadindinger.com or search me Andrea Dindinger on Instagram, therapy with Andrea on TikTok, Andrea Dindinger on LinkedIn. That's all that. Or you could even just Google me and you'll come up with me, right? It's I don't know about I don't know if you could do that on ChatGPT, or I bet you can. I'm sure I'm there. I'm in a bunch of different publications. But that's probably the easiest way. Therapy with Andrea dot love. It's easy. It's kind of catchy too.
Perfect. Okay, so guys, just wrapping up another amazing episode of Digital Health Podcast with Andrea. So again, thank you so much, Andrea, for giving us your time. Uh, it was an amazing conversation. In fact, for the couples who are at the turning point of their relationship or who are facing any tense situation in the relationship, again, thank you so much for your time. It would be an amazing addition to the lives of those couples who are, in fact, at the turning point of their relationship. Thanks so much for your time.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.